you and Clark did an interview today. We've got something very exciting next, which is the interview with Clark about your...
My what?
Big news?
Big news, check it out.
Some big news today, hasn't there?
Yeah, big news. As many would have known, from 7 o'clock this morning, Ben Habib has launched a brand new political party called the Advance UK. I've been in discussion with Ben for quite some time behind the scenes.
I mean, you didn't even share it with me. You're your best buddy.
I know. Well, some things
you got to... secrets.
Some things you got to keep to yourself. And of course, Landers and Sinners, we founded it as a non-political party, non-partisan. So, so there'll be some subjects that I shall not be on.
What's been interesting is in all of our discussions on YouTube, on TikTok, we've always said we're politically homeless. But you know Ben, don't you?
Yeah, I think, first of all, I worked with Nigel Farage and the Reform Party. I stood as a candidate for them and been involved with a number of other smaller parties as well. And I've got many friends who have led parties. But I've been following both Rupert Lowe, actually, and Ben Habib for some time and had conversations with them, phone calls. And I just felt as if there needed to be an alternative to the Reform Party. Some will argue that it's going to split the right. Currently 4 years away, it might be a bit sooner with the way Keir Starmer's going. You've got Angela Rayner sniffing around the dispatch box.
I was going to ask you about the claims that you're going to split the right.
Yeah, obviously you're going to get that, aren't you? There's quite a lot of conversation on social media right now about that. But we're 4 years out from the next general election, and a lot can happen in 4 years. Now, Nigel Farage made some solemn promises, pre-election, that he would have mass deportation. He's reneged on that. They had some huge constitutional changes, as you know. There was a fallout with the chairman, Yazir Youssef, which in turn saw David Bull now become the chairman. So there's been some infighting there. I stood, as I've mentioned, for the Reform Party when they were the Brexit Party, and there were a number of things that I saw happen behind the scenes, and whether or not Nigel Farage is the real deal. Now, I might lose me a few followers here, but please just remember, we all have our own political views. You don't have to agree with me. And I have found Ben and people like Rupert to be really authentic. They say what they mean what they say. But I've seen a few glimpses, if you like, of some of the things Farage has said and hasn't delivered. One of them was the private kind of investigation into the Pakistani grooming gangs, which he said that he would raise them funds, which he didn't do. Clearly, and Rupert Lowe himself has gone and done that and is doing an exceedingly good job. There's enough votes out there. Democracy is a wonderful thing, and I just think, it's an opportunity for a party to have a voice that is different from Reform, because the big question people have asked me is, can you trust Nigel Farage?
Well, it is something that has come up, and it's something we've discussed. Other people seem to get close and close to power and close to popularity amongst Nigel. He seems to try and push them away, and it's a one-man band, really. It's the Nigel Farage party. Moved away from Reform, following all your association with them, was around Tommy Robinson. Is that something that's in the offing? Is that something that you think might happen at some point?
Well, I think with Tommy Robinson, he's got a huge following, and I know him personally. I'm friends of his as well. Plug here as well. There's a big event happening in September. September the 13th, get to London as well for the Freedom of Speech March. Is going to be in London. The last time I was there, at a Tommy Robinson rally, and I'd say about 3/4 of those were Reform supporters. But not only have they said, if you've got nothing good to say about somebody, don't say nothing at all, is my opinion. But what Farage and Tyson and others have done, they've literally come out and thrown Tommy Robinson under the bus. And Tommy has been very gentle, very kind with them, and offered an olive branch many times to work with them, but they refused to work with him because of his past. The way that they have spoken about Tommy Robinson really was a red flag for me, and I thought, you know what, I can't be part of something that throws people under the bus. Not just him, but Ben Habib. I remember the early years of the Brexit Party. Ben Habib was very instrumental in constructing what they call the contract with the people, which was the manifesto that we set out for the Brexit vote, and everything else. And I think the way that he's been treated, and people would argue that he's bitter, that he's, all this kind of stuff. He's not bitter at all. He just wants an alternative to Farage because, like myself and many others, whilst we believe in many of the policies of Reform, absolutely, I'd vote for him tomorrow. My mother on a recent TikTok, she said she'd vote for Nigel. She's brilliant. But I just felt as if, and I'm not going to go into too much detail, but even the way my relationship with the Reform Party kind of ended, they never reached out. And it was to do with the constitutional changes that they made to the party. because Nigel had a large part of the shares within the party, and it wasn't democratised enough for me. So the members didn't get a say, and for me personally, that's not democracy.